There are two other parties in this conference. There are three other parties in this conference.
Hello? Alright, I guess since Jazz Maz isn't on right now, I don't have his fancy spiel that he gives, but this is the SDF OpenVoIP, or OpenVoIP, on Anon Radio. You can listen live on anonradio.net. You can call in using your SDF voice over IP service, if you have one, at extension
There are four other parties in this conference.
or you can call and dial in 929-299-1269. And I heard somebody else join. I don't think I have anything fancy to say right now. It's for those who may not be accustomed to OpenVoIP, it's just kind of folks who are here can talk. I think we have, I think, should have people in comm. I know Guofu is around somewhere. I don't know if he's going to be on tonight or not, but yeah. I may also be streaming on my own on Facebook and on Twitch and on YouTube. And if people are trying to chat me there, then I can't see it because I don't have any of them up right yet.
Hello?
Hello?
Who is this?
This is Dr. Elcott.
Who?
Dr. Elcott, SDF username Dr. Elcott. I go by my real name's Nathan.
Okay, Nathan. Okay, I'm Peron. I'm using Plan 9, and I'm trying to make it work, and I hope it's working. I'm
I hear
using
you.
NetSurf in Plan 9 to, I don't know, load a web page, and it works.
Okay. Are you using voice over IP on Plan 9?
No, I don't know
Okay.
how to do that.
You got me excited there for a minute.
No, my knowledge only gets into, well, setting up the web service and, I don't know, loading a web page HTML, and that's
Yes.
all. Sorry about my English. I'm working on it.
That's okay. I've been doing the Plan 9 boot camp. I need to catch up on SMJ's T Talks. I haven't had a chance to. I gotta go back. Excuse me. I tuned in on the last part of the first one, but I haven't caught up on that one. Missed this past Sundays, so I might be a little behind. But at least I can connect, so that's the main thing.
Well, I use raw term, and I could set up the virtual machine, but I believe that it's a bit hard to me to do all the kind of things that SMGA does. It's too genius for me, but at least I can. Yeah, the guy is a hacker, but at least I can make it work, boot up, and connect with the graphical draw term from Ubuntu.
There are 4 other parties in this conference.
Hey everybody, this is Guofu. You can see Dr. Elcott, I think, in his YouTube stream.
Yep.
And
Hello.
I see him nodding. Who else isn't on the call? Seems we're quite busy tonight.
Well, I'm Peron. I'm calling from Argentina.
Peron, welcome. My college professor in microbial genetics is from Cordoba, and I know a bunch of scientists from Rosario further northwest. But I know Fuentes told me you don't want to tell us too much more about your location, so I'll stop there.
Oh, okay. Well, privacy is a thing. Okay.
Yes, privacy. And Peron, you run textoplano.xyz with Fuentes?
Yeah, well, this is a project Textoplano in which you can access a remote server, and it's just a BSD instance set up with Fuentes, F. Fuentes, who is also an SDF user, and we have a small community of Spanish-speaking people, like a Chile, and well, we are setting up some nice services there. We got a Mumble voice server. We got a podcast in Spanish, and we also do some kind of interviews with a local scientific community and users and long-time hackers about hacking things. Well, we are having fun in the
very nice.
community.
I know a really Buenos Aires or a city in the suburbs, Pablo Hugo Reda. I don't know if you know him, but I've been in groups with him, and also the person who runs this international fourth meeting is living in Sao Paulo, but is from Argentina. So I should tell. I think I did mention your project to both of them.
Oh, great!
Friends of mine.
I don't know them, but it's great. You can ask them if you want to join, because, well, we are about 10 users and we have some Other, reality, in reality, we are a very small community, and we have set this like server around end of November of the last year. We are so it's a kind of community. Well,
Mhm.
so several of them has previous experiences using Tilde and using uh, this kind of remote services, and the idea, was to set up one in Chile because Fuentes is in Chile, and he asked me about
Mhm.
doing some kind of gathering Argentinian users, and we got some Mexican users too, and some Spanish, and well, people are bored and they want to join us in this kind of
Uh-huh.
weird tilde
Quite a
project.
different time zone.
Yes, well, Argentina and Chile are in the same time zone, but
Oh
Mexico
no,
is.
I thought you said some users from Spain also.
We have 6 hours with difference in with Spain, but well, at, at least we can talk. It's not the other part of the world. Sometimes we have a user who came from another countries which have higher differences, and well, that is hard because if you get into the 7 o'clock, perhaps they are on the 3 of the night, and
Mhm.
you simply can't can do things like that. But well, we are happy with the results up to now.
That's great. Hopefully, I'll see if I come across. I have. I'm in Cincinnati in the Midwestern U.S., but I have friends from Santiago de Cali in Colombia, from Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Venezuela, and I'll let them know about your group. You said it's about 15 users right now.
Yes, around 15, but in reality we are just a little community. But we are open to anyone who comes to join. In fact, for example, we have extended invitations to several groups here in Argentina, but as our community is open, in order to get anyone who came interested, the server is very small. It works on a very small computer. I believe the
Hmm.
server resides in Miami, in reality. But well, our aim is to use minimalistic resources. For example, BSD with about 2 gigs of RAM for everyone. So you got
Wow,
to.
wow, that's excellent. I'm hosting a Gopher server amongst other things. Gopher, Asterisk server pretty soon, AdBlock, web server, a bunch of other things on this PC I built 13 or 14 years ago for work. That's a Core 2 quad with 8 gigs of RAM, and yeah, I'm sure if you're able to host many people on sounds like desktop DL. Well, I don't need to do it since there's already SDF and so much here. But that's awesome. That's really cool. Do you use Gopher, Perone?
Yes, I use Gopher. In fact, I started Gopher in the SDF, but obviously in the SDF is all about the English-speaking communities, and well, they have quite a nice array of Gopher hosts there. Sorry,
Mhm.
Gopher hosts, and I found some of them in Spanish. Use, for example, some users on the SDF, and I got quite interested also with Fuentes, and he
Mhm.
proposed to me to start an instance of Gopher in Spanish because Gopher was not very well known in the Spanish speaking community. Even in
Mhm.
the late 80s or early 90s, I don't quite recall any kind of Gopher service, perhaps in the universities, but it was not the thing in Spanish. So we started Textoplano mainly as a Gopher thing. in order to set a server there and to start to add some kind of stories and some kind of text files. But after that, we started to grow because there were a huge amount of text files in Spanish. It was in the early 90s or late 80s, a huge amount of files, hacker files, BBSs. It all kind of translates into the site in texto plano because some old hackers start to remember the use of the BBS, who were almost extinct in Argentina, and well, they start to get out diskettes with all files, all e-signs. You know, the e-signs were like electronic magazines. And
Yep. E-signs.
Well, they in the early 90s they were a thing. There were a lot of them. One was called Axon, who has around 400 numbers with science fiction stories and novel writers who wrote into diskettes and distributed diskettes. And well, this kind of content is all archived in all nerds battle stations around the country, and they start to provide files to put in there. I don't know. It's a funny thing, and the funny thing is that if you use Gopher, you only text files. So perhaps with 50 megs of hard drive space, you got all the old files in the country because it's so minimalistic. Yes.
My friend Peter, I think he's from the city of Buenos Aires. I don't think the metro. Worked at an observatory, I think up in the northwest, close to the border with Bolivia. And he says all volunteer run, and they had a connection through ARPANET, and he was setting up interferometers and different equipment there. And I forget what it was. He took opto-isolators and a point of sale machine keyboard in order to transfer some code from one thing to another. But he was mentioning just the hard drives that they had that had all the data collected in that telescope. And I guess very little light pollution probably in that part of the country. But yes, I need to ask him to join your group.
Well, I'm aware of radio telescope. It's also in Chile. Perhaps he's talking about that. But I'm not I don't know too much about that. But in the time of the ARPANET, there was no internet access in Argentina, so the only way you can get connection to that was using hacking techniques or fracking techniques in order to stall, let's say that in that way, you stole telephone lines and you got access into international data networks. Because in Argentina, it was in the late 80s, only the state telephone company, and it did not provide almost with data transmission capabilities. Only voice telephone or telex, which was
okay. Gotcha. And this was, I guess, during Raúl Alfonsín, so in the late 80s or so, before the name.
Well, so you are in Cincinnati.
Yeah, Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay. Well, I'm still working on this Plan 9. Plan 9, I hope this is the correct pronunciation of the name of the
Yes, yeah, oh, you got it. Yeah, that's perfect.
Because it's working on me. But I don't know, I had to look I believe these videos are now in Tubnix, correct?
I haven't. I'll have to start using Tubnix. I hear they're in Twitch. Maybe, Dr. Elcott would know better than.
I know SMJ has been streaming on Twitch, and I think they have to. It's like they have to get to a certain point to where they can actually, I guess, host the videos there. But he's been taking the recordings and uploading them to the TubeNext server. So they're available, thankfully, because I need to watch them. Now, Peron, are you using the instance that we're using for boot camp, or do you have your own VPS?
No, no, I'm using the instance of Bootcamp Summer. I don't believe, but my understanding is that they delete the instance once the bootcamp ends, so you have to to redo all the things in order to get once the new instance or the new season, let's call it that way, of bootcamp starts. You got to redo everything. Uh, so I did the bootcamp in the last year, but I was not able to complete because um, several problems. I don't know. Well, and in this instance, is the one I could start doing all my programming, all my things. So I'm happy with that. I don't have really a own virtual machine since I'm the the kind of early user of SDF. Don't remember the name of the, you have ARPA user, the Meta ARPA user, and I'm the what's the name
At,
of the
at
which is
ARP.
the name of the lower level
Oh,
soldier. I'm not a general. I'm a private. I don't know if it's sorry. I'm trying to.
I know there's so many different, I know there's like three main levels, but then there's like the different subscriptions that you can get. I know like the VPS, you can get your own little space to install operating systems and stuff like that. So I did. That's why I was wondering. I didn't know if you'd done that and everything. I know. I think I'm assuming SMJ is creating his own um, installs. I guess using keep on wanting to call it CloudFront, Ninefront. Because I know he was talking about what the net package. I can't remember the name of it. I just saw it on, I guess, Sunday. Um, so I'm assuming he's rolling some of the more popular things that come out of the boot camps into the next iteration or the next or whenever he refreshes the VPS environment or or was it VPS 9 environment? I guess is where it's at right now.
So great because well, it's it's a great way to learn all these kind of old operating system or different operating systems. I believe the original Plan 9 is very old, but now we are running here some kind of new iteration or new version recently open to the community. That is my understanding. I believe the SMJ post about that, but since I never had Plan 9 in any computers near here in the country, I believe there could be some people who have Plan 9 in Argentina, but I never met them. You know someone who used Plan 9 in the United States? Yes.
I I don't. I came across Plan 9. I mean, like before I came onto SDF, but it's like in passing saying, "Oh yeah, Bill Labs created it." Back in the you know late '80s, early '90s, or something like that, as a kind of a next step of Unix or something like that, and didn't really look into it. It's like, oh well, that's cool. Oh look, something something else. So, but but it is really cool to see kind of all the different things coming through to learn about kind of this. I don't want to say unique because I feel like that's getting overused, but kind of a kind of a unique operating system. So I
Well,
like it.
yeah, I also use the old PDP-8 in the virtual Raspberry Pi PDP-8.
Oh
You
yeah.
have a challenge, so I made almost all the challenge. I got one only to complete everything, but I'm afraid to do so because I will believe that I'm an uber nerd, and I don't want to do that. But I'm happy because the only thing that I'm getting left is to program in Fortran in an old PDP-8, and I start to think about that, and I'm considering myself like a very weird dude because who wrote for Strand still? Some people have to do that, but I don't know. I will left the place to another another one.
Well, that is one of the things I'm trying to do is the other parts of the challenges on the PDP-8 or PDP, however they're phrasing it. Uh, and that is it's just kind of you know I think the good thing is folks like us who get on there and tinker around with it, we can eventually find our way with some documentation, and then just I guess stubbornness until stuff starts working the way you want it to.
So, the other day I found someone there. I believe it was who was Papa. I don't know who was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I've seen his name on there too.
And I met him into a VAX system, so I met him online in an old VAX. The VAX computer is like the VMS, one of these old operating systems, but you can access remotely, and he was there.
Ah.
So we don't chat in Facebook. We chat in VAX.
Yeah.
Well, that's the kind of thing that we do in the SDF. I believe this is funny and it's quite amusing nowadays with all the kind of new technologies on all the kind of closed systems that we still have these open computers which you could access remotely from the southern part of the Americas, from Europe, from Asia, from any continent, using only a tiny bit of bandwidth, I don't know the word. So, in the previous conversation, I was talking and connecting through a satellite connection, and it was amazing. But it was like using a local terminal. It was fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I know Cam said that he's been plotting graphs in BASIC on the PDP-8, so he'll have to print some out. Well, maybe not on actual paper, but at least stick it up on a. He's put it out on the. I know what he could do. He could put it or print something out and then put it as a topography on com or like on roof or something.
Like ASCII art.
Yeah.
Well, it would be nice to do that. I believe that in PDP you got only ASCII characters. You cannot use any weird, obviously UTF advanced characters. Only the typing writing machine thing, because
right.
they were old 60s computers. Oh, we can load wave.bas.
Yeah.
Cam is sharing software in the PDP. Great, Cam. I don't know if Cam is hearing us. greetings from Argentina. Come.
Yeah, he must at least be listening to the non-radio stream. So.
Yeah, I think he's listening, and he said it's still up there if you review it, that he's not going to be able to. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
That he's not calling in. He's playing with graphing on the PDP-8. I can plot graphs in BASIC. You can find one of my experiments there right now named wave.bas. And Tully is here listening. Hi,
Well, I remember
Tully.
wrote a program about a message in a bottle. In a bottle. You know, bottle. I don't know how to pronounce. You know, when the castaway got lost in an island, he tried to wrote something in a paper, put in a bottle, and throw into the sea, in order to someone catch the bottle, read it, and came to look after him to find the skeleton, because he would be dead already. Well, if you, I remember that was the program I wrote back in the other challenge. Was one of them was wrote a basic program, and my program was the bottle dot bus. Sorry about my English. It had been like 7 years since I don't speak English, so I practice with you. Sorry.
You're doing a great job. Better you speak English better than some people that I know that speak it as their native language, myself included.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. I concur with Dr. Elcott.
Well, I'm trying, okay?
Yeah, Fuentes was telling me asking me the same thing. If and I said the same. That is English was at least as good as mine or most native speakers. Yeah, there's one open voice where we chatted, and then afterwards, and said that a lot of his friends, I guess, weren't as interested in, or didn't need to use English for most of their IT work and other things, but he was more curious about it.
Sorry, I got all my connections all grabbed.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, it broke up. Can you hear me okay now? Up around?
I hear you intermittently with some kind of weird audio program.
It might be on my end. Dr. Alcott, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out there.
I'm cutting in and out. Okay, so what I'll do is try ending the call and then call back.
Okay, try that. Yes, I believe you talked something about Fuentes, but I didn't understand clearly what the hell was going on.
Yeah, so just Fuentes was asking me if English was good, and what Dr. Alcott has said would fit perfectly. It was at least good, if not better, than many native speakers here in the U.S. Okay, I'll call back in a second.
Yes,
oh, you can hear me now?
Yes, the last part it went okay, but at the start it seems like you were under some kind of drugs or something.
Oh. Okay, I'll call back. 1 second.
It was fun. Yes, I believe Fuentes talk a very, very good English. It's not like me. Fuentes, if you are hearing me, don't be harsh.
There are 4 other parties in this conference.
Alright, I think Guofu's back.
I am. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah, that's better.
Yes, a bit.
Yeah, I guess I just needed to call back. I had muted at some point and unmuted, and I don't know if that. I got some jitters in the net splitter or whatever. Nice. So Robert 588 left and on radio, sadly. And Dr. Epcot ran Cam's program and was quite impressed. Was it a sine wave, Dr. Elcott?
It was sorta, kinda. It's looks like it's just doing. Well, he's actually it's more of a normal. It says normal distribution curve.
Oh, a normal distribution. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So a little bit
Which
more
is a lot of
complex to plot that than a sine wave.
Yeah, he has an asterisk and coordinates, and then, or I guess really I say coordinates, but basically is they are coordinates. Just the Y is just the line number, I think, or well, I guess maybe the column number actually. But no, it's pretty good. I don't know if I can necessarily cut and paste it into COM or not. Probably cause it to freak out.
I believe the old version of COM who runs in the 3B2 computers, who sometimes in the SDF they put it online, you can insert some kind of ASCII art, and but I don't remember I don't recall the letter. I believe it was like D or something. It brings you a command and you paste the text, and once you send it with enter or intro key, it will write the ASCII art. But I don't believe it works in this version of COM. It works on the old Unix PC. Remember, I don't know if you have used that Unix PC from. I believe it's a real machine. It's not emulated, but a real machine with secure shell access, and under some circumstances they put it online and you can go in online there. You got the old version of SDF, but I don't believe now you can do it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You can do it in Mastodon if you have an account. Print that and post the screenshot and do you use Mastodon?
Mastodon, I do actually, yeah.
Me too. I also do.
Look, it's a feat of basic. If you do that, you post it, and you say, hey, I'm the man, I'm the boss. I wrote a wavelet in basic. Look, everybody, look at me.
Everybody
Brag
look
about
at
it.
Cam.
Yes.
Right now.
Brag about writing a basic program to plot a graph. I will do it.
Yeah, it's like the same thing people do in Twitter. Let me.
No, you don't that. You do not that on Twitter. You do that on Mastodon.
Oh, okay. No, that's fair. It's fair to crap on Twitter. Yeah. Yeah, Mastodon is a localized, honest Twitter. It's not.
Mastodon
I just
is
pooped
a
today.
place to be.
50,000 likes. Perone, did you say that Textoplano has a internet radio stream?
Well, yes, it have a radio with music, local music, and some kinds of podcasts that we produce every Sunday. And we talk about computer virus, we talk about DOS, MS-DOS, which in English. We talk about Unix. We talk
There
about
are 5 other parties in this conference.
well,
Hello,
podcast.
fifth other party.
Hello,
Who is this?
Cam.
This is Guofu.
This is Cam.
Hello,
Oh, hey,
Cam.
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 My headphone or my microphone was turned up. It wasn't in a good spot. This is Cam.
Welcome, Cam. I see you
Hello.
chatting. Come.
What are you guys up to? I heard you mentioning me doing something with the writing a basic program to make a basic program do plotting.
I think it was your basic program, Cam.
Yep, you're way
Oh, I'm a
back.
basic program. Okay. So AI has come a long way apparently.
So you did the plot program.
Oh, I'm the one who did that. I thought you were
Well,
saying I was a basic program.
Yes,
Oh no, that was the basic program that you wrote, Cam. Dr. Alcott and Perone are trying out.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything super special right now. It just does a little rounded thing based off of pi. And it's like a little squiggly line type thing, like a wave sort of thing, but I want to see if I can make the terminal width is only so much, so there's only so much or so many characters I can fit, but I would like to actually put on an axis and see if I can make it do specific plots.
Well, the problem was that the PDP didn't even have a video terminal. They used a teletype, which is like a printer.
Yeah, I know, and it basically does it with little asterisks instead of a straight line.
But it's a great feat in programming to do so. I would be happy.
I think I could figure it out pretty quickly.
Okay.
As
I
far
love
as
it.
getting it so that the lines looked normal between 2 points, it would just be a line of the asterisks or whatever character I decide to use.
I almost forgot all my basic. I used to program in basic, but like I don't know, like 30 years ago, and I was in a Commodore 64. It was not a PDP-8, but the basic still remains the same.
My last changes to the thing didn't get saved. It still has all the actual coordinates of each little plot there. I meant to remove those so it looked more uniform.
Oh.
So you add the coordinates of the two axes in order to make the plotting.
That was just to make sure it was doing it correctly, so I knew it was where it should be. Because it's symmetrical. The top and bottom are symmetrical.
Well, the right thing to say is that no one is going to launch an atomic missile, a nuclear bomb, or nothing with a PDP-8. So if the plot is not correct, we don't care. You got the plot. we give you a 10, okay? Okay.
I would make an actual something a bit more complex than just that.
Now, the thing I could never do was to do the Fortran program, because Fortran requires to load the program in some kind of interpreter, but it returns an error, and I was not able to do so, and I believe some other users also got the same error code.
I think it's an issue with storage.
Yeah, I
There might
believe
not be
that.
enough storage on there.
Because I read the Edo System 50, which is some kind of special PDP, and they got all the manuals, all the documentation and everything, and they talk about inserting some kind of code into the front panel of the original computer. But obviously you have to be there with the computer to touch the switches, and I don't
I'm
believe
thinking about getting a PDP-8.
you cannot get that PDP-8.
If
They
I
are
find
still
one
around.
for like, if I find one for under 1,000 US dollars, I think I would get it.
Dude, it's a PDP-8. Well, you can do whatever you want. Spend the money in other things. No,
I mean,
well, you can get a Raspberry Pi adapted like a PDP-8.
yeah, but an original system.
Oh yeah,
will
the
go
front
up.
panel switches and like. Sorry.
If you get an original system, it'll just go up in value if it's functional and you restore it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess
There
I'm,
are 6 other parties in this conference.
Hello, sixth party. Welcome to the part. Haha.
Hello, this is Jazzmaz, just checking in.
Jasmine, how's it going? How are your video conferences eating up your time and hopefully being useful?
Yeah, they're okay. I was just taking a break from the one. We had a bunch of people fall off, as sometimes happens. So I figure I would jump on OpenVoIP for the last, 10, 15 minutes and see how everyone's doing.
Cam is thinking about buying a PDP-8.
Uh-huh.
I think Perone's trying to talk him out of it.
Maybe.
Yeah, don't buy a
Not
PDP-8. Get an emulator. Be modern.
It's not a
and cheap
PDP-8.
like
Which variant of the PDP-8?
I'm not sure. Maybe the I, because it has the cool looking front panel, but that's more rare, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
If not a PDP-8, then probably a PDP-11, because I do have those memory boards that I would love to restore.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So have you actually
A friend of mine,
found one for
He's
sale?
on SDF. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
One person at a time.
Yeah.
So I have found a couple on eBay of both the 8 and the 11 in the past, but nothing that would be affordable.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking my best bet would be at like a local vintage computer meetup or something like that.
Right. Or finding the random old dude that managed to stuff one of them into their garage after they retired it from service.
We know a few people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're mentioning a PDP-11. A friend of mine in Austria who has an SDF account. Hopefully he'll call in. Has a series of YouTube videos where he emulates a PDP-8 on an Arduino Duo and then plugs it into a EP44. And yeah, so I know him. I think I became friends in one of the organized social media syndicates because of the EP44 and running a list on this PDP-8 emulator on a Duo. But so Cam, because I'm guessing that you're close to Fort Collins and Boulder, there's a preponderance of PDP stuff in that part of Colorado.
Yeah, we have a lot of like refurbished and used tech stuff that you can just find on eBay and Craigslist and stuff like that. Like I could there was a whole bunch of server racks that I was looking at that were like think $60 for a lot of them. And that's way more than I needed, so I didn't get them though.
Well, did you get your server that you're running from home through Surplus or local Surplus?
No, not local. That it came from eBay.
Oh,
Probably
okay.
would have been better to look local, but I didn't know about Craigslist back then.
Yeah, Craigslist I haven't had, so I should tell you, I used to have this IBM Aptiva and a PowerMac 5500, both which I got for free. I sold them to someone on Craigslist, and I think this was a long time ago, and the person lowballed me, I think agreed to pay $100 and then said, I'll give you $60 for these two things, so, and plus other people who said they're selling one thing and then end up giving another. So I don't know, at least locally I've had really bad experiences with Craigslist, and this was over 10 years ago, and I just stopped using it altogether. But I'm glad it worked out. In the whole Boulder through Fort Collins area. Oh, and GenMS, maybe you knew this from before, but Perone was mentioning that textoplano.xyz runs on a NetBSD server with 2 gig of RAM.
Okay. That's not all that surprising.
Sorry.
Well,
what's significant about the Boulder area that would have more of those systems? Was there like a deck factory there or something?
What said it? I just said that because I know there was an HP, a big HP campus in Fort Collins, plus Colorado State and CU Boulder. So I guess there's academic institutions plus companies that would have had them in the past and were getting rid of them.
That's true. That's a good point.
Plus maybe the federal government. I think there's National Renewable Energy Labs in Boulder.
Yeah, they do, and I know IBM does a lot of stuff there too. They have a big solar field that powers one of their data centers entirely.
So you can buy the PDPs locally with ease. That's
if I can find one.
Yeah, because I was telling you that, of course, in the USA you can do that. Here in Argentina, they are almost non-existent. I only saw one PDP-10, but not an 8. The 10, it was a huge machine.
Yeah, well, the 10s were mainframe machines, and often some of them even had a front-end processor on them, so you basically have a mini in front of a main to basically bootstrap the microcode.
Exactly, and in this one they have the hard disk was the old fry pan. I believe the name is RL02.
Yeah.
The huge. I don't believe this. I don't recall if it's a hard disk or it's a circular tape, like about perhaps 20 inches. No, I believe it will be 15 inches. A disk. Huge, and those were used, in the defense sector to drive a flight simulator for the fighters, the Mirage fighters. I believe it was the only PDP-10 in Argentina. I don't know why, and they have the terminal. It was the VT220. The thing that I knew about those computers was that. But I don't know if there are any more. I never saw, for example, a PDP-8. It would be very funny to find one. I believe that the USA could be perhaps easy to find.
Probably, because there are quite a lot of PDP-8s manufactured and sold as well. But the PDP-11s were probably the most common minis. The other problem sometimes is that on those really big machines, sometimes there's enough high-quality steel in them that they are worth more as scrap at the end of their production life than they are.
Yeah, that's a sad reality.
Yes, because they are like a refrigerator,
Yeah.
something like that.
Hmm.
Wasn't there a smaller PDP-11 variant maybe later on?
Yeah,
I
they're,
mean,
they, I mean,
refrigerator,
they. Go ahead.
like
Sorry.
microwave instead of refrigerator. Sorry.
Yeah, there are models that take advantage of technology improvements, since it was sort of a prolific machine. That they made many models and used different technologies in. Because I think a friend of mine has PDP-11 that's about the size of. Well, I have one friend that had one, and it was about the size. He used to call it the size of about a coffee table. And then I had another friend that had just the CPU unit, a CPU unit that was kind of self-contained intended to go into one of the rack mount chassis, but it was basically, I don't know, maybe like you said, the size of a microwave.
Yeah, I was just thinking ballpark. Perone was saying, I know the ones that were, or I've seen pictures and in a museum one size of the refrigerator, but I've also seen, I forget, just the number popping in my head is for some random reason is PDP 1134, but I think there's PDP 11s that were microwave sized or small freezer sized or what have you. And JWH is making LSI 11, PDP 11s on a chip, I think, as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the particular machine got a lot of use and a lot of was essentially recreated in a lot of different technologies over the year to reduce its size and cost.
Oh, sorry to change the subject, but Cam, I figured out how to use Whois in Linux, and I have the logs from my Gopher server. A friend in Germany also runs a Gopher server, and we've linked to each other. So I traced a bunch of IPs in the 93 point something block, 93.25 or 93.53 block, one of those, down to Deutsche Telekom, and it was him, as well as a number of others, to DigitalOcean and things. That's a really cool tool. I'm not sure if that's what you're using for Antarctic IP digging.
Yeah, I just, there's a couple ones that I use, but mostly I use stuff installed on my computer just to figure out what's running on them.
Yeah, I mean, it even gave me the address. I mean, I could go ask who. Please tell me which user and which location. The address of Deutsche Telekom.
Oh, yeah. I think they are supposed to do that just in case something happens and you need to get in contact with them.
Yeah, in the Whois database.
Yep, Whois lookup is pretty cool stuff.
It is. Okay, I guess we're ready for the closing open voice over IP spiel.
I guess I could do that. Okay, this has been OpenVoIP on anonradio.net. OpenVoIP can be heard every night from 0200 to 0300 hours UTC. Anyone can call, anyone can start a conversation. You can dial the conference bridge with your regular telephone service by dialing 929-299-1269, or you can dial with your SDF. You can dial extension 1088 from your SDF voice over IP account. More information about the voice over IP system can be found at the tutorial section at sdf.org. Coming up next is Open Mic. Open Mic is you, the listener's opportunity to be the DJ. Visit anonradio.net and click on the Open Mic link for details. Okay.
Nice. Oh, Jasmine, the idea I had, and I'll see what you think, and everybody else, is Reader's Theater. Maybe it's good, maybe it's really dumb. Inherit the Wind, I remember we read in high school, and that was quite entertaining and funny to read aloud, especially the William Jennings Bryan sections. So I don't know, if I get a chance in, I don't know, 3 weeks or something, I'll find some good plays. I don't know, 8 Men Out or Inherit the Wind or something, and read bits of it for open mic. Maybe it's good. Maybe everyone will hate me.
Here, I've got a play for you. I've got a play called Hackers sitting on my
oh, okay.
table. But no, I'm joking. I do, but it has nothing to do with the
film. Yeah, okay. I guess it is a good idea. Let me write that down. Hackers to play.
Yeah, it's hang on, I'll give you the info if you can find it somewhere. It's actually in a book in my library. Okay, Hackers, a play in 11th scene by Mike Eisenberg.
Who's the author? Sorry, the voice got choppy.
Okay, Mike Eisenberg.
Mike Eisenberg. Hackers, a play, Mike Eisenberg. Okay. Cybernetic comedy about identity crises in the lives of those who are victims of involuntary mind slaughter. A play in 11 scenes. Oh, it's in books. The Google Syndicate has collected. Okay, I'm going to bookmark this. Written by an MIT graduate student in computer science. The play at the Manhattan Punchline is deftly designed to amuse theatergoers, even those who are not yet tuned to the computer age.
Yeah, I came across it a couple months ago when I think someone was talking about doing a watch party for the film Hackers, and I'm like, I wonder if the library has a copy that I can borrow, and they didn't, but they had that.
Thank you for mentioning that. I might.
I would say if you can find a copy, read it and review it. I don't think you really need to read it on open mic, but you can read whatever you like to read. I mean, it's whatever you want to do.
Sure, I'll find something that wouldn't take very long and has
right, because this is actually a pretty substantial play. I mean, it's like
yeah, like in 8 Men Out, there's this point where the sports writer is talking about Kennesaw Mountain Landis, and they say he's going to clean up baseball. Well, he could start with the birds in the stands, who are the other major league team owners up talking about how they're going to make baseball an honest sport again.
So what is it? Yeah, it's almost just like 80 pages of actual direction, dialogue and direction. Yeah. So it probably wouldn't be something you could do in a single open mic session, or would want to do in an single open mic session.
Yep, I just found the scanned copy, 102 pages, from Penrose Memorial Library at Whitman College, Walla Walla, Washington, in archive. So I'll back that up. Cool. Yeah, I think I was telling you AGK about this, but they're reading radio. One in New Orleans, I forget what it is, and Memphis Public Library. I think it's for people who are visually impaired.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, and then I have some Brazilian South African music, Gilberto Gil and Hugh Masekela, Miriam Makeba, and so on, and MP3s I could play.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, and some of it on YouTube, some of it not. Well, anyway, just spouting ideas.
Sure, sure.
Um.
Well, that's what open mic is for, experimentation, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we are very experimental with this kind of computers, I think.
Hey,
I hear the news. Something.
Oh, that's me. That's BBC World News. On. Yeah. Oh, something, Perone, maybe maybe everybody's interested in this, is I found there's a tool that will convert RSS feeds into Gopher. I forget, Gopher feed or what exactly it's called. It's in GitHub. And I was thinking of taking CNN and New York Times and Washington Post stuff, and I don't think I'd get in trouble for posting that in Gopher.
Well, chances are the people that care enough to write you a cease and desist letter don't know enough about Gopher to actually find it.
Yeah, maybe not.
Well,
although I do know a few intellectual property lawyers that have been around for a while and do know some things, but whether or not they're going to be, well, one is they don't work for the news organizations. Two is, they're not necessarily the ones looking for that stuff.
It's Gopher is a bit obscure.
Well, it has become obscure, but like I said, anyone that's been doing computing for a substantial amount of time had probably been exposed to Gopher, and there have been a couple prominent articles out there in the news about the resurgence within certain sectors of an resurgence of interest in it.
So Cameron Kaiser, who runs Flood Gap, hosts, I think, VOA News and a couple others, and there's Gopher, IMDb, and Reddit as well. But yeah, maybe it's organizations that are explicitly okay with posting.
Right. The idea is if they are not doing anything, the issue is probably more along the lines is that if they're exposing an RSS feed without any sort of authentication or anything that as long as it's sort of like an open feed, I don't think they really care, especially if you're not profiting on it.
It's an open feed. These are all open HTTPS feeds, I was thinking.
Yeah, all right. So
no,
nothing
subscription.
Yeah. If there's no subscription in front of it, no authentication in front of it, I don't think they really care. They might care about you redistributing it, but what can they do? And as I said, they're not likely. What can they do? Their staffers are not likely to find it and do anything.
Yeah, and I mean it wouldn't be anything different than using RSS feed aggregator. I mean that's the same idea, and I'm not creating a way for you to get out of paying $1 a month or whatever it is to the Washington Post for your subscription. The money that they desperately need to collect from the plebes. Okay, that's good. A friend of mine took a copyright law class. What was it? The professor started the class saying, people are evil. And all laws derive from that. but just the whole devil's advocate point.
Right.
People, when they can do something wrong, they will do something wrong. So you have to get. But that was the whole thing with Google Voice that I was mentioning before. That Google was really unhappy with people bridging Google Voice service to SIP to their own SIP servers because you could spoof say Chinese or Canadian or an IP address in another country to get out of long distance charges. But if you weren't doing that, then probably Google just wouldn't care.
Right. I mean, if all you were doing is placing local calls or receiving local calls, they didn't care that much. But if you were using it to avoid, international calling rates and essentially violating international treaties, they would be.
That sounds like something I would figure out.
Oh, sorry, Kim.
It sounds like something I would wind up figuring out how to do. The bypassing the payment or the long distance payments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking. Speaking of hackers and plays and movies from that generation, I remember in War Games seeing. I guess it's war dialing that Matthew Broderick was doing in the Seattle area, and then was getting airline tickets and withdrawing money and stuff.
Yeah, that's a lot different than just evading an international call fee.
Oh, sure. Different levels. Or should there be those charges for the international calls when you can just use WhatsApp or SDF and then get around it?
Yeah. No, they really shouldn't have it. It's the 21st century.
Yeah, exactly. World telecom, not, these artificial lines.
Well, but they used to have some kind of weird telephone hacking back then because there was no way in which you could communicate with other countries or something. Well, my first connection using data phones was using stalled lines because you don't have regular lines here in Argentina at the time in order to carry that data. Don't tell anybody. Do you use the old ARPANET? Someone of you happen to use that?
I wasn't around then, so maybe others.
No. I both fortunately and unfortunately am not that old.
I used that when I was a kid, and what you had to do was to dial a local enterprise who sell food and everything called Pérez Compact, and what they did was to have open lines to Atlanta, and you connect to them using a local data network called ARPAC, and after that you can use a VAX VMS system to dial another number from the lines in Atlanta. So you call to the United States, but you don't need to pay anything. You stole the line, and after that you can get access to BBSs in the United States without paying long distance calls, who were extremely expensive back then. I'm talking about 1988 or something like that. Never do that, kids. It's stole. It's a crime. Do not do that.
Sure. I'm not sure if their infrastructure really supports that kind of exploit anymore either.
No, it's long gone. But at the time, it was the only thing that you can do. And I got access from a local library, who was a public library. So I don't know. At the time they left all these kind of open doors, so you can use that. But it was Argentina. You know, Argentina is like that.
Mhm.
So Perlin, what
There
types
are
of
7 other parties in this conference.
Wow.
Hey, this
Hello,
is
seventh
Jazzmaz.
other party.
This is Jazzmaz again. My internet decided to stop working for a moment there. I suspect they were doing some
Gotcha.
routing adjustment. Because it's like, suddenly the line got quiet, and I'm like, huh. I'm like, I wonder if my internet connection just reset itself again. I had this, it's been a common problem the last week or so. My guess is it's probably related to the boundary gateway protocol issues that seem to be plaguing the internet the last week or so.
What are those?
So there's a protocol known as the boundary gateway protocol, and that's sort of the modern way that internet routing is handled. Internet address routing is handled, and normally that stuff is only accessible to the ISPs. They usually block access to those ports for any mundane users, but every once in a while, a bug creeps in their TCP/IP stack or or at the protocol level itself. And then you get weird, they have to take countermeasures, and you get weird routing problems as a result, or denial of service, or massive spoofing attacks. But yeah, I noticed the line got quiet, and it's like, I walk into my office, and it's like, oh, the video conference I was on is reset itself, and it's attempting to reconnect, and I'm like, yeah, okay, another round of this. And it wasn't even a hard reset of the modem. It's just the symptoms are that it just suddenly stops routing packets for a few minutes while something is going on somewhere in the route, and then eventually it clears up and may end up with a reset of the residential gateway, but sometimes not. So I'll probably do a hard reset tonight before I go to bed, just to make sure its routing tables are up to date and that someone's not getting sloppy.
Okay, but at
Always
least
good to
we
check.
can hear you correctly.
Alright, I think I'm going to drop off and get to bed. Actually, my dog has already gone to bed.
Okay, well, have a good night.
Good night, y'all.
Night.
Well,
Take care, Dr.
Talking
Alcott.
to you.
bye.
And
I'll take a
Dr.
look at
Alcott
Go ahead.
streamed that on YouTube. The call.